All right, 888-957-9570. What do you do if you're the 49ers? How do you fix this? That's the answer Chuck and I are looking for. I'm Kyle Madson. He's Chuck. I see everybody on the line. We'll get to you on the other side. How do you fix the 49ers? We're figuring it out on overtime on 95.7 The Game.
All right. The Black Keys are coming to Shoreline Amphitheater on October 5th, and 95.7 The Game has your tickets. For your chance to win, head to our contest page at 957thegame.com.
At Harris Ranch, we do beef, just like we've done for over 50 years. Beef that's raised locally right here in California. Tender steaks, awesome burgers, and California classics like tri-tip roast. The flavor you crave, the quality you trust time after delicious time. Come on, it's time to get out and grill. Harris Ranch, we do beef. Legendary beef, legendary quality.
You can count on Big O Tires for great service and even better deals on name brand tires. Now through October 9th, save up to $100 instantly on select Bridgestone and Firestone tires with installation purchase. See your locally owned Big O Tires store for offer details.
UCSF Sports Medicine Center is dedicated to treating every type of athlete, from kids to adults, amateurs to elite professionals. As one of the best orthopedic programs in the nation, UCSF has programs to optimize an athlete's performance and the latest advancements to treat the most complex sports injuries. With locations throughout the Bay Area, now including Marin, Walnut Creek, and Redwood Shores, it's even easier to make an appointment today. Visit ucsfhealth.org so you can get cleared to play. UCSF Health, redefining possible.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
What's your retirement look like? With Fidelity Income Planning, a dedicated advisor can help you create a flexible income strategy to grow and protect your wealth so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services member NYSE SIPC.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
John, what are you doing? Get in my car. Why are you walking to work?
Thanks, man. It's these insanely high gas prices. They are draining my bank account. I can't afford to drive anymore.
Dude, don't walk. Just do what I do, because I never pay full price for gas anymore. I use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, you're telling me you get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PAID for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's promo code PAID. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PAID for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PAID.
Are you seeking job opportunities or employment with major companies in the Bay Area? Then check out East Contra Costa Hiring and Resources Fair on Wednesday, September 28th. The Workforce Development Board of Contra Costa County, City of Antioch, and Urban League of Greater San Francisco Bay Area are partnering together for this special event. Register for the East Contra Costa Hiring and Resources Fair at wdbccc.com/events-calendar. Again, that's wdbccc.com/events-calendar.
Fremont Bank. If there's one thing we understand more than anybody, it's that it takes a local bank to really get the needs of local businesses. Fremont Bank has the flexibility and motivation to service your business loan needs like other banks can't or won't. With our full suite of business loan products and recognition as a top SBA lender in the Bay Area, Fremont Bank is the right choice for local and family-owned businesses. Fremont Bank. Learn more at fremontbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madson and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Jimmy Garoppolo getting spicy.
Yes.
Uh-oh. So Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Madson, Chuck, we're hanging out with you for the next couple hours. I see everybody on the line, 888-957-9570 if you want to join the conversation. We're trying to figure out what the heck is next for the 49ers after that debacle tonight in Denver. The 49ers lose 11-10. It turns out Jimmy Garoppolo is not the answer. At least not tonight he wasn't. Maybe he will be down the road, but tonight he was not. And it just kind of looked like a typical Jimmy Garoppolo start. But the play of the night, the play that defined the night and might wind up defining the Jimmy Garoppolo era was in the third quarter when the 49ers were backed up against their own goal line and Jimmy Garoppolo dropped a pass and stepped out the back of the end zone for a safety.
Second and 10 from his own end zone. Garoppolo's out of the end zone. It's a safety. Remember, Dan Orlovsky did that. Stepped all the way out of the end zone. It's a safety, and that kills the play before everything else on the pick. So it is 7-5, and Trent Williams is shaken up for the Niners.
I don't know that I've ever seen a safety be a break for a team, but it certainly was there.
Oof. Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth on the call for NBC. And here's what Garoppolo had to say after the game. So the big talking point all week was what Jimmy Garoppolo said about Kyle Shanahan's play calling and likes to have more freedom, and then Shanahan saying like, oh, you guys are making too much of that. You'd have to ask him why he said that, da-da-da-da. Here's what Jimmy Garoppolo had to say after the game about that safety. Quote, I'm not trying to make excuses or anything, but I just got to get into game shape and get rolling now. I was just running the play, trying to buy some time for it. It was a longer developing play, tough situation, that whole thing. So that to me sounds like Jimmy Garoppolo is blaming the play call for his running out the back of the
Well, didn't he seem more confident, more comfortable, more cohesive, everything, without having time to prepare? Didn't it seem like last week against Seattle when he was just kind of thrown in there?
Yeah.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, hey, you're winging it.
Winging it on the fly. And granted, it's Seattle. Their defense isn't as good as Denver's, although they did beat them head-to-head. But with that being said, it just seemed like he was a little more comfortable last week, and today, in the second half especially, I mean, where does that rank in terms of worst performances? He didn't do anything good in the second half. There wasn't one. The throw to Ucsf. That was a nice throw.
That's a good little throw.
Nice throw, nice catch. Aside from that, name one play in the second half. Text liners, give it to us. One play where it was like, that was a good play by Jimmy.
There was the throw to Juwan Jennings on the third down conversion.
Okay.
That's a decent throw.
Okay, there's two.
Haven't picked up a third down tonight. Empty out of the backfield. Garoppolo's throw is caught by Juwan Jennings.
Oh my goodness, what a throw.
They were laughing in disbelief. That's Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, NBC Sports again. They were laughing because the ball placement was good. Like that, I want to try and be objective here. The ball placement was very good. The velocity was not, and there was a defensive back there who nearly had hands on it, and it would have gone for 6 the other way. And that, how many times have we seen that throw get picked off from Garoppolo?
Quite a bit.
A lot. It happens all the time. And that's kind of why, like we said, they're moving on. Let's talk to Robin in San Francisco. Robin, get in here. What the heck happened tonight in Denver, and how do the 49ers fix it? You're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck.
So you guys are not going to like what I have to say to each one of you, but I'm going to talk to you like I talk to my sons. This is bad radio. It's beat up Jimmy Garoppolo tonight, okay? You never once considered certain things, and I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo fan, but I like to look at things and process things as a whole.
Okay.
First of all, you never gave the man any consideration that he's just coming back, that he still might be a little rusty. Yes, there are still some things that are common with Jimmy, but look at that line. Look at that guard, like that fumble. You blame Jimmy. But that center is new. Isn't that center a rookie? Then look at that. Once Trent went down, it was all over with. McGlinchey sucks. He was under pressure all night. His timing, he did not have a good game. It's clear his timing was off. When he got intercepted, you could tell that the receiver ran the wrong route, because if he had been in the place where Jim threw it, it would have been a first down. I mean, do you guys ever consider looking at the whole game in its totality as opposed to just focusing on what Jimmy isn't?
Yeah, Robin. No, Robin, I do. The problem is we've seen that exact game from Jimmy Garoppolo a million times. That's just who he is. Why was that not a problem last week? Why was nobody talking about how bad the offensive line was when Trey Lance was in at quarterback? You know, like, there's just shortcomings that Jimmy Garoppolo has as a quarterback, and they were all exposed tonight. And just to be fair to us, I never blamed the fumble at the goal line on Garoppolo.
I didn't mention the fumble.
That was that's on Jake Brendel, their center, who's not very good. So thanks for the call, Robin. Like, what is the 49ers offensive line not very good? Yeah. And we talked about Trent Williams going down. That was huge. Not being able to run to that side is...
Who are you going to blame that last throw on? I mean, if you're looking for a scapegoat, because we all are right now, you don't want to blame it on one person. I sat here 15 minutes ago. I just said you can't pin the entire thing on Jimmy Garoppolo. He didn't win you the game. He sure as hell didn't lose you the game. Both of those things can be true. You're saying,
He wasn't very good, man. And maybe he's rusty. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo in week 7
that last
against
throw
the
in
Chiefs
the double coverage
is going to be, he's going to be awesome, and it's going to be like, wow, Jimmy's the savior. But no, the point is that after last week, Trey Lance goes down, and everybody says, hey, I shouldn't say everybody. You hear a lot of people saying, hey, the 49ers are better now. The 49ers are a Super Bowl contender now. And when you watch that tonight, it sure didn't look like it. And whether that's because of the offensive line, whether that's because of the running backs, whether it's because of the wide receivers or the tight ends or the linebackers or the kicker, I don't care. But it was presented as Jimmy Garoppolo is going to fix all of this. And it's very clear based on tonight, he's not. Because he is who he is.
Yeah, and I had the blinders on. I was one of those people that I guess time had gotten away. We always talk about the longer someone sits on the sideline, the more they start to look like Steve Young when the alternative doesn't seem like anything special. And I saw Garoppolo sitting on the sidelines and said, you know what, I think he does give this team a better chance to win this season. I think a lot of people thought that, and there's no reason to compare, because unless you think you're going to get Brock Purdy some run, and people on the text line love that option. I don't know if it's the trolls coming in or if they actually think Brock Purdy gives you a better chance to win, but Jimmy Garoppolo, he is who he is, and tonight he had two chances at the end to march the team down the field and put a field goal on the board to win you the game. One had a really good chance, had him around midfield, and he threw it into double coverage. Like, I don't want to get on the guy. He look, Jimmy's good leader, wins a lot of football games, but that's a bad throw.
Yes.
And it wasn't 3rd and 17 where he needed to sling it. I'm pretty sure it was first down.
And this is where...
I'm pretty sure it was first down. Was it not? I'll look that up. Go on with your point.
Robin said she brought up totality of the game. So that's... okay. When you look at that game tonight, I'm not putting anything on the 49ers defense. I thought the 49ers defense was excellent. So now let's look at the offense. The offensive line, when you looked at it through the first few weeks, it's like, okay, Trent Williams is clearly knocking some rust off, but he didn't play at all in the preseason, so, he's still figuring it out.
4.5 yards a carry.
What?
I said 4.5 yards a carry, so the run game's not the issue.
No. So you have Trent Williams, who through the first couple weeks is fine. Not dominant Trent Williams, but fine. Aaron Banks hadn't a lot of pressure yet. Jake Brendel, the center, was not great. But Spencer Burford, the rookie, the right guard, had been really good. A lot of praise for the 49ers interior. Mike McGlinchey. Is he a great pass protector? No, but he's a pretty good run blocker. Like, the fact of the matter is your quarterback is supposed to be the player that, hey, yeah, overcomes when, the left guard misses a block, or overcomes when Okay, 2nd and 6, there's a drop pass, so now it's 3rd and 6. Now he's got to go make a play. Like, that's just it. And it was on full display tonight. And like I said, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo's a little bit rusty because he didn't get a preseason. He didn't even get training camp.
But we have a large sample size to know that he's never going to be that player.
Right.
And that's fair.
That's the issue. Is it's not like, man, he was way worse tonight than normal.
Jimmy. I mean,
right.
He's a winner. He's a good leader. He gets the job done in a lot of senses. But yes, the point we are both trying to make here is if you thought he was going to step in and turn this offense into a competent offense, because right now it's not competent. It's not a good offense whatsoever. And then when we talk about reasons where you can pin something on Jimmy, 1st and 10, 2 minutes, 6 seconds to go in the ballgame. You got timeouts. You have the 2-minute warning. You have plenty of time to make the right decisions. And if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, you're starving for this situation. You are you've been waiting for an opportunity to prove the doubters wrong. You just got fired to really come in with a chip on your shoulder and make that play that makes people say, Jimmy won us that game. 1st and 10 from your own 48. You're near midfield. You only need a field goal. You only need a field goal, and you throw it into that.
Triple coverage.
What did he see?
Double coverage.
What did he see?
I don't know. That's it, and that's the thing is when Jimmy Garoppolo throws that pick over the middle, he just doesn't see it. Can't tell you what it is. Maybe he sees it and he relies too much on his quick release. I don't know, but he's not gotten away with it. Ricardo in San Francisco, what the hell happened tonight, man?
You know, a lot of people want to be able, or a lot of people will say, yeah, it's not all Jimmy's fault. You know what? It is. It's his and Kyle's. Kyle Shanahan has a constant thing to call run plays on 3rd downs. It'll be 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, and his thought process is, let's run the ball. I don't know how many times we have seen the run game has not been effective. He thinks, oh, Jeff Wilson won't do it. Let's throw Debo back there, and Debo won't do it. It's mind-boggling how it just doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know how many times Jimmy has gone into this game where it's winning at the beginning of the game, and as soon as the second half comes, it's just downhill from there. And, our defense played outstanding. Our defense played very well, which is why I will say this. Trey Lance, once he comes back, he is going to come back phenomenal. People would say he didn't play well in the Chicago game. I don't think that. I think the weather and so many other factors came into it. But he played well. I'm so over Jimmy, and I've been pro Jimmy and pro Shanahan for the longest, but just seeing Kyle Shanahan's bad play calling and Jimmy G's bad throws. He cannot lead our receivers, and when he does lead our receivers, it's an interception or it's an overthrow. He's always underthrowing our receivers. It's just, oh my goodness, it's so bad.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Yeah, he doesn't consistently make plays. And that's my whole point. Is like what we saw tonight was not different. It was just, it's just like they can lose games like that every single time they go out because they don't have that. Like that's why they tried to fire this guy and couldn't. So they bring him back and they lose a game 11-10. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
And we talked all off season. Like, what was the talk? It was playmakers, and we thought it was going to be Trey throwing it to him, not Jimmy, but it was playmakers. We talked about how Kittle was out there, kind of a non-factor. The 4 catches for 28 yards obviously brings the blocking component into things. But we talked Debo, we talked Ayuk, we talked Kittle. Talked Elijah Mitchell. Obviously, the Elijah Mitchell loss hurts more than you'd realize because Wilson only got the 12 carries, and they clearly don't feel comfortable with Jordan Mason or Marlon Mack with those two combining for 1 carry. Jordan Mason was the only one that got a carry out of the 2.
Right.
So now we're overlooking that Elijah Mitchell injury because if he's back there, you're probably rushing it more than 19 times tonight.
Sure.
Maybe a different outcome. Who knows? But Brandon Ayuk. That was someone the entire offseason, people were raving about him. And I don't think it's on Ayuk. He hasn't had any chances.
He went 3 catches for 39 yards and a touchdown on the first 2 drives tonight and then didn't have a catch the rest of the game.
Had 8 targets, but how many of those targets were actually, I feel like 2 or 3 of those targets were the ones that ended up being batted in the air, where it was just force-fed in there, double coverage on them. I mean, I saw that ball flying up in the air so many times tonight. I can't believe it was only 4.
On both sides.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of interceptable throws.
Well, we haven't talked much about Russell Wilson. I can't believe that Denver paid this guy as much as they did.
Holy smokes.
I know he's Russell Wilson. I know he's done a lot, but look, he carried that Seahawks franchise, him and the defense, for a long time, and his back's clearly hurting. Something's going on because he was that throw that he had right into the dirt when the Boo Birds just started coming out, right into the grass. That was awful.
It was brutal, dude.
You're paying him how much to do that?
Yeah. He did not look good tonight. He pulled out the one drive.
He hasn't looked good all season.
He pulled out the one drive.
Pulled out the one throw.
And Melvin Gordon capitalized on it.
3 tight ends. Extra offensive line. Wilson gets Gordon. Touchdown, Denver.
Man, Broncos. Then they tried to go for 2. Didn't get it.
And Wilson for the 2, and the inside it gets broken up. Try to get the little slant to Javonte Williams. Javon Kinlaw's big arm got in the way.
Mike Tirico on the call there for both highlights for NBC, and that was again 11-10. I feel like that's peak, like 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. Is giving up 10 with the touchdown coming late in the fourth quarter, and losing 11-10 or giving up 11.
So just in case you were wondering, how many teams do you think lost a football game where they gave up less than 14 points this weekend?
Oh, how many just this weekend?
Yes.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
There's one.
Oh, okay.
Tampa Bay only gave up 14. So 14 or less, I guess you could say.
Okay.
They gave up 14 and lost 14-12. But aside from that, and granted, 11 would have been fine. Yeah. So
it's a brutal loss.
I mean, you gave up 11 points, and you're losing the game. And Nick Bosa said it before the season. It was that soundbite that was circulating, and we don't usually put Bosa and soundbites in the same sentence, but Bosa said basically, look, all Trey Lance has to do is go out there and not screw this thing up, and our defense is so good that we're going to take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
And for 3.5 quarters, I wouldn't say that Jimmy necessarily screwed it up. He just didn't do anything to give you any separation. And the defense was on life support. They give up one big play, basically, and they're done with.
It's the ball game.
That's the ball game. One play. I mean, the defense was outstanding.
It's such an impossible way to play football. Rob in L.A., all the way down there in L.A., wants to jump in and talk about this 11-10 49ers loss in Denver. Rob, you're on with Kyle and Chuck. What's up?
Hey, guys. Just want to say it's getting totally predictable, and, it looks like the real genius is Mike McDaniel over in Miami. He's 3-0 right now.
Maybe.
Yeah. And a lot of these plays, all of us are calling what's going to happen when we're watching the plays on TV. You can just call the plays out, man. We all see what's going on. It's so predictable.
Yep.
We're all pretty pissed about all this. And, Kyle, he keeps choking, man. I believe they said Russell Wilson and the Broncos were on the field for 70 plays. So how is the defense going to, hold up after 70 plays or whatever, and the offense can't sustain anything? It's just repeating over and over, and it's like what Grant Cohn says, Jimmy is not even a net zero. He's just negative, whereas if Trey was playing, if he's a net zero, at least, the offense can have big plays, but he's out for the year. So, this is just predictable, and, maybe it's Brock Purdy time, guys.
Thanks for the call, Rob. I don't think it's Brock Purdy time. Thanks for the call. Yeah, and that's what we're talking. That's why they moved on. Like, despite all the winning and despite all the Week 18 last year in the Saints game and the Cardinals, whatever games you want to point to, there's a reason the 49ers wanted to move on. And it's because they could play a virtually perfect football game and still lose because of the limitations of their quarterback. We saw it tonight. Like, this was just a quintessential 49ers loss with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. Danker in San Francisco, You're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up, Danker?
What's up, gentlemen? So I think this all boils down to the line, and I'll tell you the first red flag for me was the first game with Mitchell. He had a great game, but if you notice, his big gains were he was cutting back on holes that weren't there. The line wasn't doing their job, and Lance's mobility and his feel for the pocket was kind of, he was he was escaping, and he didn't really see the breakdown as much.
Sure.
And then now once you place Jimmy in, you see it a little more. And poor Jimmy, I think it all really comes down to that injury, on top of the fact the NFL D linemen are so fast these days. You have to have a little escapability just to create that extra time, knowing you can have the best O-line in the world. There's going to be someone who's going to get through at some point, and you're going to have to at least create room. And I just believe, unfortunately, the league has passed Jimmy as far as his makeup, and his injuries set him back. And I wish the best for him, but if he had a great line, he might, be really good. He is a smart guy. I don't want to discredit him, but it's not really fair to anyone with the line. The young guys look good, but it's not that fair for even to compare Lance, to compare Jimmy, when the elephant in the room is we have some young guys on the line, and until we trust them, how can a quarterback trust them?
No doubt. Thanks, Decker. And that was a big question mark going into the year, but through the first couple weeks, if you ask football people and you talk metrics or whatever you want to do, you got people watching, you got the numbers people, whatever, it was all like, the line's doing pretty well. But that's another problem when it came to Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's been a problem. That's not new. This goes back to, 2018. Man, he's not great under pressure. Not very good when the pocket collapses. We talked about that earlier. He hits the top of his drop. If the throw's not there, he gets happy feet. It's not like a casual rollout, buy time. It's like an immediate panic sets in. And I don't know if that's because he doesn't trust the offensive line, but that's been the case for the last couple of years with him. So it's not exclusive to this O-line. And sometimes your offensive line is not going to make a play, and then it's on the quarterback to do so. And that's kind of the point, right? It's like everything has to be perfect for Jimmy Garoppolo to succeed. Like, hey, if he had a great offensive line, okay, yeah, well, there's not that many great offensive lines in the league. So figure it out.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here and trying to decipher what he did really well tonight, and I can't think of anything. In terms of... I can't think of anything.
I got nothing. I have nothing for you. They ran 52 plays. They're 5.1 yards per play. Garoppolo put it in the air 29 times. He got picked once. He threw one touchdown.
And here's what I think Robin's getting wrong. We want Jimmy to succeed.
Yes.
We want Jimmy to succeed
there would be
more than anyone.
Nothing better than the end of this year, Jimmy Garoppolo hoisting a Lombardi.
The 30 for 30 that would come out of Jimmy Garoppolo hoisting the Lombardi on a victory lap after being retired and coming back. I think most of 49ers Nation, all of 49ers Nation, who doesn't want the guy to succeed? Most people do. However, I think people feel like they've just seen enough to where they know it's like that. It's basically like a horror movie. You go, you're watching it, you're 90 minutes in, the main character is still alive, but you've already seen the sequel, and you know that the main character eventually is going to get attacked by the monster, and you're just waiting, and there it goes.
Right. That's and
I don't know if that's the greatest analogy, but you know what I'm getting at, and the point where you know it's coming eventually. Everyone always says that Garoppolo mistake that loses the 49ers a game where they had a chance to win it. And we saw it, and there's no one else to blame in that situation because it was first down, and he threw it into double coverage with a linebacker waiting right there to pick it off.
Yeah. And I think Danker made a good point. The escapability, the inability to evade pass rushers, whether that's in or out of the pocket. Like that first down on the last drive where he took a sack. That should be a play where he can escape and get rid of it, right? And I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Like, I thought after watching Jimmy against Seattle, it was like, oh man, we're gonna get like double birds Jimmy this year, where he's letting those throws down the field fly, and
let's hold our horses. There's a lot of season left. I think we know how this story is going to end up.
Sure, maybe we get there, but tonight I can't react to Week 10, man.
Yeah, and here's what we know. We know that the 49ers have probably played their easiest 3-game stretch of the season. The Bears are the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks are not good at all.
Two not very
After
good
watching
teams.
them today against the Falcons, I've officially declared them the worst team in the NFC West.
Great.
And I don't think the Broncos are good. So that's 3 teams right there, and now you sit at 1 and 2 hosting the Rams.
It's definitely not going to get easier.
Not
gonna
great,
get
Bob.
easier. I see everybody on the line. We will get to you on the other side. How do you fix the 49ers? 888-957-9570. I'm Kyle. He's Chuck. This is Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Download the Odyssey app and stay connected with your favorite sports teams and hosts. Favorite 95.7 The Game to listen anytime, anywhere. Whether you're commuting to and from work or on a boat, chilling with Klay Thompson, entertaining sports talk and every single Warriors game at the tip of your fingers. Download the Odyssey app now and favorite 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Comcast Business. Keeping businesses ready for what's next. Powering possibilities.
Elise and Carl's Bakery needed a small business loan fast, but instead of going to On Deck, Carl called
Lone Falcon! Really? Carl?
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com. And if approved, get your loan as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah Chartered Industrial Bank member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
We see a lot of trash on our highways and in our waterways. This isn't what we want. Clean highways, clean water. Now that is what we want. You can help change this to that. Learn how at cleanwaterca.com from the Caltrans Stormwater Program.
Hi, I'm Mandy Moore. Stand Up to Cancer is closer than ever before to achieving its mission to make every cancer patient into a long-term survivor. To learn more and get Advantage miles, go to standuptocancer.org/American Airlines.
When back to the office means back in traffic,
Blocking me 3 right lanes, multiple emergency crews on the scene.
you can rely on your Northern California Honda Dealers Traffic Center.
On the shoulder now, so that's good. Traffic is getting by.
From your traffic leader, KCBS.
Man, I slept.
New ZQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep is made for people who are tired of being tired.
I've never slept like this before. I've never woken up like this before.
A melatonin-free sleep aid made with a botanical blend that contains clinically studied and effective valerian root, hops, and passion flower, shown to help promote better restorative sleep. ZQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep. Sleep this good, feel this good. Available at retailers near you.
Hurry into the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool energy efficient appliances. You can also save with a smart thermostat. Right now, select Google Nest Learning thermostats are $60 off. Plus, find other great energy saving items throughout the store and check your eligibility for rebates in your area to save even more. Don't miss the Energy Savings Event at Lowe's. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Visit sickvets.com for your free case review by True Law. That's sickvets, like veterans.com. Sickvets.com. Visit sickvets.com.
Get a cash offer for your car, truck, or SUV today at your local Bay Area Chevy dealers. Selling has never been easier. Just bring it into a Bay Area Chevy dealer, get a free appraisal, and we'll make you a cash offer on the spot with no obligation to buy. We buy any make or model, paid off or not. Find your local Chevy dealer at BayAreaChevroletDealers.com.
When you're happy and you know it in San Diego, there's no limit to how you can show it. Endless sunshine, coastline, and outdoor adventures inspire waves of feel-good vibes. Plan your trip today at sandiego.org.
You can count on Big O Tires for great service and even better deals on name brand tires. Now through October 9th, save up to $100 instantly on select Bridgestone and Firestone tires with installation purchase. See your locally owned Big O Tires store for offer details.
48-yard line. Denver bringing 4. Garoppolo protected in traffic. It's intercepted. Jonas Griffith on the deflection. Has it for Denver.
Now, back to Overtime with Kyle Madson and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Kyle Madson, Chuck Walter in for Alan Stiles. Talking about an ugly 49ers loss to the Denver Broncos in Denver. Azeez Al-Shire, a couple injury updates from Kyle Shanahan. Azeez Al-Shire, likely a sprained MCL that will keep him out for a while. And Trent Williams most likely has a high ankle sprain. No timeline for his return right now. They've still got to, do all the x-rays and scans.
So just devastating all around.
Really brutal loss.
Yeah.
Like the Chicago loss, a game where the Niners have 10-0, third quarter, they're controlling it. It's just like, yeah, they're winning this game. They end up losing that one 19-10. This is worse than that.
Well, that one you pointed to the penalties, you pointed to the turnovers, and you said clean up a few things in practice, get back to the fundamentals, and the stat sheet shows that this 49ers team's a million times better than the Bears. Tonight, you look at what we just saw and you say, all right, well, the defense is outstanding. They can hang with anyone because the defense is so good, but when it comes down to it, how are you going to win games with the quarterback that you have? And I want to get to some text on the line. 925. What do you mean? How do you fix the Niners? It's been the same answer since Jimmy G squatted under center and throwing 2-hop grounder infield practice to wide receivers. 707 says it's a simple solution. You hire Sean Payton. You ask him if he wants to work with John Lynch or Louis Riddick. And here's the kicker. I think Sean Payton with Jimmy Garoppolo would work better. A lot of people on the text line tonight saying that trade for Mike McDaniel. I don't know how you do that. I think he's probably pretty happy down in Miami with his 3-0 Dolphins.
Dolphins would want to do that.
And then 925 saying, first of all, drop the Lombardi or bust mentality. We were never Super Bowl bound this year, not even close. You got to view this dude like he's a backup quarterback, filling in for a starting quarterback, and set your expectations accordingly. And here's the problem that I have with that.
It doesn't work.
Well, here's the problem that I have with that. One, you have a roster that is built to go to the Super Bowl. So you're not setting your expectations at, all right, this is an 8-win team, like this is an 8-9-win team. No, you're not. That's just, this team's too good for that, A. And B, the guy got you there last year.
Right.
He had you on the cusp last year. And I know he's coming off shoulder surgery. May take him some time. But if your expectations are anything under, let's get back to where we were last year and we're one play away from going to the Super Bowl, then what are you doing?
Well, and that's why they kept him. Because if Trey Lance went down, they wanted to remain in contention. That's the reason Jimmy Garoppolo is on the roster. That's the reason Brock Purdy is not the starting quarterback right now. Because they wanted to maintain a level of contention if Lance went down.
Yeah.
And there are people all over the place, smart football people, who will tell you the 49ers got better with Jimmy Garoppolo, and it sure as hell didn't look like it tonight.
No. It didn't look like it whatsoever. 925. It's time to get a real QB1. This is the reason that we saw the massive trade for Trey Lance, because we've seen the Jimmy G Late Show for years. Yeah, I mean, they tried to get a new quarterback. This wasn't the plan.
Yeah. 888-957-9570. That's the Comcast Business text line. That's also the phone line. Let's head out to Stockton where Dylan wants to weigh in. Dylan, you're on Overtime. What's up?
How you doing, fellas? Man, I have a few things I need to say about.
Let it rip,
man. For one, Jimmy G is just not that guy, man. He's just another guy on the field who's average at best. He doesn't see people wide open. He misses throws. I mean, you had Debo running wide open in the first quarter. He never saw him or looked his way.
Yep.
Secondly, play calling. I mean, there's no creativity on offense. The only motion that you see is when you see a motion, you motion a guy for a run play. How come all these receivers that we have are always stationary on one side of the field? Move Ayuk around. Put them in motion. Make a pass play off of that. Everything is so stationary. There's no creativity.
Yep.
And then another thing is that, I'm going to make it real quick, where was George Kittle the whole night? Like, I know he's coming off of a growing injury and things like that, but he doesn't get many targets. And I feel like if that's going to continue, why the hell do we need him? Like, trade him and let's do something about the offensive line next year. Run some, and then I don't know, man, but it's a whole bunch of confusion. Kittle, comes back in the game, he needs to have at least 10 touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards this season, whether it be because he plays or if he doesn't play or gets injured. We don't need Kittle. Get him out of here. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded.
Thanks, Dylan.
With all due respect to George Kittle, the fact that he hasn't asked for this. This is just what, the narrative's been created surrounding him. But the fact that there's the conversation that George Kittle's in the same conversation as Travis Kelce in terms of playmakers, you can't actually believe that, right?
So the numbers would say no, but the evidence when George Kittle gets fed the ball say yeah. I mean, it's a different way. And he's not the kind of player like Kelce. It's like, yeah, line him up in the slot, and on 3rd and 10, you're throwing it to him. But I think he could be, and that's one of my gripes with Kyle Shanahan. I'm not going to gripe so much at the play calling, although Shanahan did come out and say that he put Garoppolo in a tough spot on the safety. I don't gripe so much at the play calling because, frankly, you nor I nor probably anybody calling in knows 100% what the play is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to be executed. So that's why I pump the brakes on the play calling a little bit. But I do think a criticism I do have of Kyle Shanahan is it feels like he has an aversion to force-feeding players that aren't Deebo Samuel. Like George Kittle, I don't care how teams are defending him, try and get him the ball. Figure out ways to get the ball in number 85's hands.
They tried to get him the ball 5 times. They got it to him 4 times. So efficiency in that regard, but only for 28 yards.
Yeah, and it's not like, hey, let's draw up a shot play to George Kittle. Like that's kind of what I'm looking for. Like where are the plays that he was making in 2018 where he was their only real receiving threat and was setting the record for receiving yards by a tight end? Where they were just figuring out ways to get him the ball where he could go make plays.
Oh man, this
they have too many playmakers to say like, oh, they zoned in on that guy and they shut him down.
They have way too many playmakers.
Well, okay, but that's just it's like, okay, Kittle didn't get the ball as much. He had 5 targets. He caught 4 of them for 28 yards because the defense was zoned in on him. Okay, then where's the huge Deebo Samuel game? Where's the huge Brandon Ayuk game? And that's why when we talk about this game, when we talk about this team, it all circles back to the quarterback. Because their offensive line through the first couple of weeks was supposed to be fine.
But spin zone, if they were so confident in Trey Lance's ability or any other quarterback's ability, why are they running Trey Lance like Tim Tebow out there last game? And
couldn't tell you.
Because there probably wasn't that amount of trust.
And that's it's like, dude, you have to let your players play. And I think that's one of Kyle Shanahan's flaws. He can't just like let go.
And you think that Jimmy subliminally kind of showed his disappointment in the last week with some of the comments that he's made, kind of like, let me just go out there and play. I feel like
maybe a little bit. I think,
I feel like they're keeping this game plan a little too tight. Like, let me just go out there, let me let it rip like Seattle. And I don't know, man. I don't know. The only thing that I'm seeing right now is that the 49ers are now 1-2, and they just lost a game where they gave up 11 points. Kudos to the defense. Pat them on the back. Samuel had a hell of a first half, but after that injury, they really didn't try to get him any touches.
Yeah, man. 5 catches on 8 targets for Deebo Samuel. All 5 catches in the first half. 3 for 39 for Brandon Ayuk. All 3 catches in the first 2 drives. I mean, it's disappointing. Mark Grandy's here, everybody. Mark Grandy, host of the 415ers podcast. Make sure to subscribe.
How we feeling, Mark?
Wherever you get your pods. What when you're watching Jimmy Garoppolo tonight or the 49ers? I don't want to lead you with the question. But what the hell? Like what was your big takeaway from this one?
That anyone doubting Kyle Shanahan's plan to go get a new quarterback doesn't know what they're talking about, because clearly Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough. I mean, you can be upset with Shanahan perhaps for maybe picking the wrong guy or maybe putting his young quarterback in a bad spot early in his career, but you can't blame him for making the move for someone, because clearly we've seen it time and time again. Jimmy Garoppolo just isn't good enough.
Yeah.
There's no way you lose this game with how well your defense played against a team in Denver who was trying to lose this game for you, and you still found a way to lose.
Yeah.
I do really like one on the text line, 510 coming in saying Chicago had one good drive They beat the 49ers.
Yep.
Denver had one good drive. They beat the 49ers. That can't happen.
And that's why Jimmy Garoppolo is so polarizing. Because it's not like he went 14 of 29 for 68 yards and 4 interceptions. But there's every game that they lose there's 2 or 3 plays where you're like, man, I really wish that they could have that one back. Tonight it's the safety, which Kyle Shanahan did take some responsibility for with the play call, but it's the safety, it's the interception to Deebo Samuel, and those are the 2 that stick out. I'm sure I could think. Oh, and the underthrown ball to Deebo Samuel down the sideline that he caught but could have had a touchdown. It's like those 3, like if 1 or 2 of those 3 plays goes differently, they win.
He also, really quickly, there was a play in the first half before the underthrow to Deebo, which ultimately was a nice gain. Deebo was streaking along the sideline, wide open. Garoppolo, that was his first read on the play, was looking at him, saw him wide open, and then turned to left and threw it, I think, maybe to Ayuk for a quick out route, instead of a surefire touchdown down the right sideline to Deebo.
And I think the throw to Ayuk got batted down there, too. I mean, it's that's where the whole, like, let Jimmy cook. It's like they're trying. He doesn't want to. He wants to order DoorDash, which is relatable, but don't yell for him to let him cook.
Oh, get out of here with the DoorDash. That 15% surcharge tonight on the delivery. That'll get you.
That's some good pie, though. Shout out Tony's Pizza.
Robin said bashing Jimmy Garoppolo's bad radio, so let's at least give it 2 positives of tonight.
It's not bashing him. It's just, hey.
It's called speaking facts.
He's just what he is.
We used our eyes. We saw what we saw. He is who we thought he was. And at the end of the day, we are speaking facts. He threw it into double coverage. It got intercepted. It was on first down. It is a reason why they lost the football game, period. Let's talk about the good, though. Drake Jackson.
Yeah, got his first sack. Shout out Drake Jackson.
Drake Jackson.
Fight on.
And Talanoa Hufanga. Stud.
Let's hear from Drake Jackson.
Can't take the sack here, though.
From the 5, Wilson nowhere to escape. That'll be brought down, and they take the sack back at the 43-yard line. Drake Jackson, the rookie out of USC, who's flashed a snap or 2 in pass rush situations, gets there, and the Broncos will punt it away.
Hey, fight on. Drake Jackson with his first career sack, and then that's Mike Tirico on NBC. And then you also mentioned Talanoa Hufanga, who made an incredible play tonight, where he timed a snap and pulled up for a tackle for loss.
That's right. So they get Hufanga. Whoa. You can see him coming, tiptoeing, sprinting, hitting. Big loss on the play. Talanoa Hufanga.
Hey, fight on. Talanoa Hufanga again. Mike Tirico, NBC Sports. Thank you for the audio. Yeah, and that's good young players on this defense. I was a little bit worried about Hufanga facing Russell Wilson. I was like, man, he's super aggressive. Russell Wilson likes to throw those moon balls. I hope he doesn't get beat for one. And he didn't. He was still excellent. And he is playing like one of the very best players at his position in the NFL. 888-957-9570. That is the Comcast Business text line. If you want to join the conversation there, you can also join the conversation on the phone. And we will head out to Lemoore, where Dre wants to weigh in. Dre, you're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up?
Hey, guys, you stole a little bit of my thunder.
We'll bring it anyways.
I wanted to bring up Jimmy. The first is when he did not see Deebo, or if he saw him, he didn't throw the pass his way. He's wide open, sure touchdown. Next one, unlike Russell Wilson, where he throws a nice, deep moon ball, I don't know what that moon ball he threw to him when he was wide open on the left sideline. I was like, I want to make sure he catches this. I better throw him like a little softball.
Yep.
And then the safety. I'm like, oh, my God, that's a rookie mistake. That's something Trey Lance should have done last week.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. When Jimmy's in the game, I want him to do well. I want him to win the game. When Trey's in there, I want him to win the game. But I know one thing for sure is our Niner defense has to carry us this whole freaking year. And they carried us tonight. That game should have been won in the first half. There should have been no looking back. But what happened?
Yep.
just like you mentioned on the Chicago game earlier, guys. And people were blaming Trey. I said, I can see Jimmy losing that game just the same.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the play calling, what it is, but there's one other thing you guys mentioned, if you don't mind me saying, quit giving the ball to Demo. And Wilson had a decent game, but Mason had an outstanding preseason. He had one carry.
Yep.
Let that man carry the ball half a dozen times a night.
All right. Thanks, Trey.
His one carry, he looked good.
Yeah, so I think with Jordan Mason, it's probably just like knowing the offense and stuff. Like
It's
just
the
little
blocking,
like
right? That's what they
blocking, where to line up. But the fact he got a carry tonight after not getting one last week, I'm guessing that means we'll start to see him.
If you want to
more
talk
going
about
forward.
production, every time Jordan Mason has touched the ball, and at Georgia Tech, he didn't touch the ball the whole time, but when he did, he was always efficient. Preseason, efficient. Very small sample size tonight, 1 carry, 7 yards. But, hey, efficient. Why not run him more?
Yeah, especially when you need help in the running game. I can't believe the Niners ran it just 19 times tonight in a game where they never trailed until there were 3 minutes left.
I did have a couple things. One that keeps getting brought up, the 49ers offensive creativity. Where has it gone? It seems so stale right now. Well, Miami. Is it in Miami? Their offense, they got some playmakers there, and it doesn't look so stale. It looks like they have an awful lot of creativity, and you do wonder, you question maybe, hey, maybe one of the geniuses left, and he was a lot smarter than we gave him credit for. That's one thing.
I don't think anyone was discrediting Mike McDaniel. I don't think anybody didn't think he was smart.
I think it's more a situation you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You don't know what you have until you're gone, and we'll let the season play out before we say anything about it. But tell you what, they're rolling down there right now, and I know you could say, oh well, they added Tyreek Hill to the mix.
The 49ers have playmakers too, man.
They got plenty of playmakers.
Yeah.
They have plenty of playmakers.
Yeah.
49ers are loaded. It just doesn't look like it right now when they're only scoring 10 points. The other thing I wanted to bring up is there's a video circulating right now after the game. It's a back-to-back shot, so 5 seconds of Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's dapping up the other team after the loss, smiling. Whatever. You do that after games. You're seeing someone that you may have played with in college or that you know from your hometown, whatever it may be.
Sure.
You're giving a high five. You got a smile on your face. And some of the tweets coming out are saying, he's a little too smiley after an abysmal performance. And then 5 seconds into that clip, it cuts to Charvarius Mooney Ward, and he's walking off the field, and he looks angry. And that's how you probably wish Jimmy Garoppolo looked after throwing into double coverage in a game that the 49ers could have won. I think it's reading too much into it, but
it super is.
Something.
Like if that's just, you can be pissed and still, put on a happy face. JJ in San Jose, you're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Hey, this game was actually very special for me because I actually am a Broncos fan, but ever since Peyton Manning retired, the Niners have kind of grown on me a little bit. So I was not conflicted. I was just very excited tonight. But it came down to both teams are garbage, except for the defense.
Sure.
The defense held it down, but it came down to who was going to be the better quarterback.
Yep.
And let's face it, Russell Wilson, through all his flaws that he's gone through this year, is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. And unfortunately, Shanahan and Garoppolo have this little beef where, it's the play calls, and then Garoppolo tries to come through for Shanahan, and he can't come through. And then when Garoppolo makes a play, or he thinks that he can make a play, and Shanahan allows him, he throws it in a double coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Niners are in a situation right now where they're about to fumble the season if they don't get it together.
Cool. Thanks, JJ. Yeah, and that's Russell Wilson made a couple plays that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't. Like statistically, Wilson not impressive. 20 of 33 for $184, no touchdowns, no picks. But no picks. And there were a couple times where he escaped sacks and turned them into positive plays. And that's just not something that's in Jimmy Garoppolo's bag. So that kind of a perfect microcosm of of the 49ers issues under center and how they're going about trying to resolve them. Nick in Berkeley, you're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up, Nick?
Oh, man, that was a frustrating, man. The Niners are just going to have to go 86 Bears, man. You know what I'm saying? To even get to the playoffs. But my problem is with Shanahan. Look at his overall record. You know what I mean? Since he's been coaching. I don't care about injuries or none of that. You're supposed to be a head coach. He needs to go into his playbook and do a lot of editing and simplify. He's doing too much. Some of those plays just do not work. You know what I mean? They're just not working. They haven't worked. We're getting no blocking off the edges or nothing like that. I mean, it's a complete mess right now. Jimmy, he can't escape any type of pocket anywhere at any time. And every time he goes to the ground, I'm just like praying he gets up. You know what I mean? He disappears under his lineman.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm just like, dude, get up, Jimmy, get up, man. You know what I mean? But I'm like, why, if you're going to have Trey Lance, who better than like somebody like Kaepernick? You cannot tell me that Kaepernick isn't better than Garoppolo. He's accomplished the same thing that Jimmy did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand, like, why they don't even give him a shot. Like, if that's the type of offense you want to run, Shanahan, you can get Kaepernick in there and he follows the same thing as Trey Lance without even skipping a beat. But they don't even give Kaepernick a chance, man.
I think. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the call. I think that ship sailed a long time ago. I mean, I'm with the idea, but realistically, he hasn't played football in 7 years. Like, that's just. I think the ship has sailed on that. Unfortunately,
I'd love to see him get out there for someone.
Same,
you know.
But you can't even entertain the discussion because the 49ers have a list of quarterbacks that they would call in an emergency. And you see the fact that they go sign a guy like Kurt Benkert to be their third quarterback, their practice squad quarterback. That's where they're at. So, like I said, it would be awesome, but you got to be realistic. I just don't think that's something that's going to happen. Saucy and Hercules, as we try and get a couple more of these calls. Phone line's been lit up tonight. You guys have been great. Saucy and Hercules, you're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up?
Kyle, Chuck, thanks for having me.
Thank you. What do you got?
I was looking forward to seeing Alan on the YouTube, but Chuck, you'll do.
Hey, thanks.
I just want to say that. Real quick, I just want to say that, man, we got to start asking the hard questions now. Is it time to move on from Kyle Shanahan?
Wow.
Is it that time? He kept Jimmy Garoppolo. He wanted to run Trey Lance to the ground. And now, look at where we're at. We're 1-2 against teams that we should be winning. So now we got to ask: is it time to ask if Kyle Shanahan is the guy for this organization? All I'm saying is that, look, I think we could be better on paper. We are probably one of the best teams in the league.
Okay.
Look at us right now. We just embarrass ourselves on Sunday Night Football. And Kyle Shanahan isn't even to blame. We're all pointing fingers at Jimmy Garoppolo. We knew who Jimmy Garoppolo was.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Shanahan needs to start hearing something.
Okay, thanks, Saucy. So here's my thing with that. This is the conversation everybody had last year when the 49ers were 3-5. It was put in Trey Lance, fire Kyle Shanahan. This is like we've been down this road before. The 49ers, again, let's be realistic. The 49ers are not going to fire Kyle Shanahan based on tonight.
They're not going to fire him mid-season.
He just got a 6-year contract extension, and Trey Lance got hurt in week 2. Like, and the organization, if you call or are putting that on Shanahan, fine. The organization, I promise, is not. They're going to let him figure it out with Trey Lance first before his seat even gets warm. So that's kind of where that's at.
Yeah, and if you're a fan, you have every right to bring up the conversation.
Totally.
Post-season, but 3 games in, when you're 1-2, and
we just watched him bounce back from 3-5.
Yeah, you have all your goals still in front of you. You lost a tough game, Denver. Look, it's the NFL. You can lose any game. I'm a firm believer that the better team did not win tonight, but apparently the better offense won, or the team that got the luckier break, the team that had the better special
quarterback.
teams, the better special teams, I guess.
The better quarterback won, Chuck.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
But Russ Wilson didn't do anything.
He wasn't very good, but guess what? When they needed him to make 3 plays, he made them.
Yeah.
He made the plays down the stretch.
He made one play down the stretch that was the difference in the game.
That back shoulder throw to Cortland Sutton was sick.
There were two, I guess, because it was Judy and it was him.
Yeah.
And he hit Judy in stride. I know Charvarius Ward got a hand on it, but I forget what quarter it was, but they hadn't scored at this point, so it was before the safety, and he had Jerry Judy in stride for a walk-in touchdown, and Ward got just a fingertip on it, but Judy still should have caught that. That was on Judy there.
Yeah, definitely dropped it. All right, 888-957-9570. What the heck happened to the 49ers tonight? I see you on the line. We will get to you on the other side because there's questions, and neither Chuck nor I have the answers. We're trying to figure it out with you. So let's do that on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
T-Mobile believes customers deserve to get more without paying more. Everything from entertainment benefits like Netflix on Us to travel benefits to Scam Shield protection, all with taxes and fees included. So the price you see is the price you pay. When you're a T-Mobile customer, you get over $225 in value every month in benefits with our Max Family Plan.
That's like paying for nosebleed seats and getting to sit in the front row.
That's right. At T-Mobile, your family gets over $225 worth of value and benefits with our Max Plan each and every month. Plus, with our Price Lock Guarantee, we won't raise your rate plan price for talk, text, and data ever.
That's like paying for a cab and getting a stretch limo.
At T-Mobile, you get value beyond the expected.
Qualifying service required. Value based on included monthly benefits. Sales tax and regulatory fees included in Max's monthly price. Price Lock guarantees rate price of talk, text, and data for new accounts with qualifying service. Exclusions apply. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Heard my little sis is buying a car. You'll need my secret guide.
Gross, no way. I already used Capital One Auto Navigator.
I bet your credit score
wasn't impacted at all, so I got my real rate and monthly payment, had an amazing test drive at the dealership, and made the purchase.
Taking the easy way out. That's so you.
Still not getting it. That's so you. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/autonavigator.
Hurry into the energy savings event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool energy efficient appliances. You can also use less water with WaterSense bathroom faucets, starting at just $19.98. Plus, find other great energy saving items throughout the store and check your eligibility for rebates in your area to save even more. Don't miss the energy savings event at Lowe's. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free, so you can drive with peace of mind. Restrictions apply.
At Napa, when you take care of your ride, we take care of you. That's why a $25 digital gift card can be yours when you buy 10 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oil products at Napa Auto Parts. That's a reward for rewarding your ride and a way to treat yourself after treating your motor. So give your ride the premium motor oil it deserves and get rewarded in return. Offer ends 10/31/22. Void where prohibited. Terms apply. For complete details, visit pennzoil.com/rewards.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
We're all on this planet together, so join Odyssey and find your one thing. September is World Ozone Month, so it's a great month to get rid of all your aerosol sprays and replace them with eco-friendly options. Also, check your air conditioner to make sure it doesn't have any leaks and schedule any necessary repairs or maintenance. And lastly, use your car less by walking or biking to close destinations. The ozone layer will thank you. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Join the conversation on 95.7 The Game with the Xfinity mobile text line. Text 888-957-9570.
From the 510, Ray looks great in teal. I think we can all agree. From the 650, stop. Don't do this. Ray Ratto makes me hate sports and life. Love you guys, though. So that, that's nice.
Text the text line at 888-957-9570. Xfinity T-Mobile, your wireless, your rules. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Garoppolo just trying to get it out. Wilson has it on the run. Lost the football. Denver's got it. And Denver's got this one.
Now, back to overtime with Kyle Madson and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Chuck Walter in for Alan. I'm Kyle Madson. Callers have been great tonight. I see the phone lines all lit up. We will get to you in a moment. But one of the things we haven't talked about, and we finished up talking about Kyle Shanahan in the last segment. Are they going to fire him? No. Is Mike McDaniel the real brains behind the operation? Maybe. But you brought up the second quarter play where the Broncos have a 3rd and 9 at the 49ers 39-yard line. Russell Wilson scrambles for 2 yards. That gets them to the 37, the 49ers 37. So it's a 55-yard field goal from there. But there's a holding on the play. So instead of making the Broncos
4th and 19,
it would have been 3rd and 19.
Excuse me, 3rd and 19.
So they would have moved them to 3rd and 19, presumably out of field goal range, because then you're looking at a 65-plus yard field goal. So you, instead of moving them back and giving them another shot at 3rd down, he said, we'll keep the 4th and 7 and let them try a 55-yard field goal.
What message does that send to your defense that's been dominating the entire game to that point? That was second quarter. Mm-hmm. I think Denver at that point, I got the drive log up here. At that point in the game, Denver had 3-yard drive, 8-yard drive, 5-yard drive, -1, -4. Like, they weren't moving the ball whatsoever.
They had 45 yards in the first quarter.
45 yards. You have them at 3rd and 19. It's a good chance you're probably going to get a sack and push them 100% out. And instead, Kyle Shanahan decides to decline the offensive holding, let him kick the 55-yard field goal. McManus is a pretty good kicker. Lets him kick the 55-yard field goal, and look at the final score. That's your difference.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah. It's,
what are we doing?
That's tough. So you're telling your defense, good job getting a 3rd down stop, get off the field, good work.
But you're giving them points. You're gifting them points.
I wouldn't say you're gifting
55?
them. 55 yards is a bomb, dude.
I mean, yes.
He missed it. He missed one shorter than that later in the game. He missed a 53-yarder.
You're giving them a 50% chance because McManus, I find it hard to believe that McManus is under 50% from 55. But he's probably around that clip. But still, you're giving them a chance to get points instead of sending the message to your defense, hey, we're accepting this penalty. It's 3rd down and 19. They're now at midfield. Go out there, get a stop. Let's get the ball back. Instead, you're giving them a chance to... I mean, dude, Denver 2 weeks ago had enough faith in McManus to send him out there for, a 64?
Yeah, he missed it badly.
He missed it. Sure. Okay. I mean, you're coming at all my points here, but at the same time, you get what I'm trying to say by saying 3rd and 19. Yeah, it's the message you're sending to your defense not to give them the chance to get out there and get off the field. Instead, you're giving the kicker a chance to put up points. They end up putting up points, and that's your difference in the ballgame in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the critiques I have of Kyle Shanahan. It feels like he coaches off vibes a lot, and in a situation like that, he doesn't run through, okay, let's see, if we push him back, defense is playing really well. If we get a stop, okay, they're out of field goal. He just went, oh, cool, 4th down. Like 4th and 7, they're not going to go for it. Get off the field. And I don't think that's so much a message to the defense as it is like, yeah, hey, a 55-yard field goal is hard. We got to stop.
By the way, quickly, McManus in his career, 50 to 59-yard field goals, 18 for 30, 60% clip.
Boom. So you're giving the guy... And if you're a head coach, you know the analytics, right? You know him in the back of your head. He hasn't got sleep in months. he hasn't got sleep in months. He knows the analytics. You're given a 60% kicker from that range, or granted it's the 52-60, so you don't know, but let's just say McManus has a 50% chance of making that kick. You're giving him a 50% chance to get points instead of a 3rd and 19 from midfield.
Okay.
I'm not a football coach. I don't like to question people that are a lot more qualified to do things than me.
No, question it. That's why we're all here.
But that was dumb. That was dumb.
No, in retrospect, yeah, because he made the kick. But I also understand, man, this is Russell Wilson. You give him another shot to throw a moon ball, and now there's a weird pass interference penalty in the end zone, and now they have 1st and goal at the 1 when you could have had him at 4th and 7 trying a 55-yard field goal. So I'm not going to harp a lot on that because it was 3 points and they gave up 11. Like, if they win this game 10-8, we're not lauding Kyle Shanahan for that. You know? Like, that's just not a thing that I
Win or lose, I had it on my show notes, and I was going to get to it at some point. I had it highlighted because I was watching it real time, and I'm like, what are they doing there? 3rd and 19.
Right, and it's especially worth questioning. Again, they lose by 1, but on the other hand, there's that. If I'm putting things in order of like, hey, here's why they lost today. Kyle Shanahan doing that is not near the top.
No, but it's a bad decision.
It turned out to be.
I thought it was a bad decision.
I would be interested.
Even if he missed that kick, I would have thought it would have been a bad decision. I would be interested
to know how many coaches, like, what the split would be on that around the NFL. Like, if you just polled coaches, like, hey, this is the situation. You get a stop for a 4th and 7, and they were going to have a 55-yard field goal, or you can let them try 3rd down again from 3rd and 19 out of field goal range, presumably. I'd be really interested to see how many coaches take the penalty. What's up, Mark?
Quickly, guys, I don't remember the exact situation, but there was a moment in the second half where there was a similar situation. I think it was another hold on the Broncos. It pushed them out of field goal range, and Shanahan accepted the penalty.
Yeah.
He didn't decline it and keep them within long field goal range. He accepted it, pushed them all the way back, and they didn't score.
It's almost like he learned his lesson.
Maybe. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Chuck's going to fry me for this after the game.
Some random dude in a button down talking on radio knew that was a dumb decision.
Good looking button down. Kyle Madson.
Had the double dip today.
Kyle Madson, Chuck Walter, Mark Grandy, host of the 415ers podcast. New episode out tomorrow. So subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Lon in East Oakland doesn't host a 49ers podcast, at least that I'm aware of, but he is on the show now. Lon, what's up?
Hey, fellas.
What's going on, boss? What do you got?
Man, I'm really just sitting up here, first time caller on y'all show, but I'm trying to figure out who are the scouts for the offense, because we have a general manager in John Lynch who picks the defense. Our defense is perfect, but who is doing the scouting and getting these players on the offense, along with the Kyle Shanahan plays? NFL evolves every single year. Every year. The Debo stuff is not working anymore. He can't run routes. He can't. They're looking for the run. It's time to put Shanahan on point and say, hey, this is your problem. It's a Shanahan problem.
You think there's not enough talent on the roster?
I don't think there's enough talent in our offense. When you look at the past, even when we had the Mosterts and all the stuff, we don't have that run game. We don't have that offensive line to execute those plays anymore. So you have a trash quarterback, so now what are we going to do? And you still call it the same plays from those times, and it's not there anymore.
All right. Thanks, Lon. Jeff Wilson Jr. tonight, 12 carries, 75 yards. He's pretty good. Just didn't feed him.
I will say 2 of those carries probably were 55 of those 70.
Yeah, 1 for 37. One was for 37.
And another for 18.
But that's the thing, but that's always been their like explosive plays. And they were there tonight. The Deebo Samuel run stuff didn't work. They apparently don't trust Jordan Mason or Marlon Mack yet. So is it I push back on the idea that personnel's the issue.
510 brought up a good point, though, basically saying when I bring up my hypothesis of this entire thing, saying you don't have faith in the defense by allowing him to kick that field goal instead of pushing him back to 3rd and 19, and 510 saying, well, you're not factoring in how Wilson plays against the 49ers. This guy's now, 18-4, 17-4 against the 49ers in the regular season, turns into a different human. You don't let Russell Wilson have the ball in his hands. this wasn't the same Russell Wilson and hasn't been all year that we've seen in the past. And if you think it is, I don't know what you're watching, but he was not good tonight. I've heard the word Russell Wilson is cooked. Now, he made the plays tonight, but if that's why you gave them points there or gave them the opportunity to have a 50-50 shot at getting points on the kick because you're afraid of Russell Wilson because of the past?
Because of last season, Russell Wilson beat him twice.
Well, you were dominating.
Last year.
You were dominating him up to that point.
Yes,
you said how many yards?
This happened in week 2 last year. The 49ers were dominant in that game, and Russell Wilson still figured out how to pull a couple plays out of his rear end. That was last year, last season. The 49ers that went to the playoffs got beat twice by the trash Seattle Seahawks because of Russell Wilson last year.
So what it sounds like is them allowing them not allowing Russell Wilson to get back on the field for that 3rd and 19 is them basically saying, this guy, we've seen this story before, 3rd and 19, this is where he does his damage against us.
Dog, you're harping on a 4th and 7 play.
I'm harping on a play
that was second quarter.
That was the difference in the game. It was 3 points. No, there are 11.
I would then argue that Jimmy Garoppolo stepping out of the back of the end zone was the difference in the game.
There could be multiple differences. Both can be true. But you get them off the field at that point, you're up 7-0 going into the locker room.
Okay. Let's go. Let's fast forward to a different reality where they move them back there. And Russell Wilson does a moonshot and hits Cortland Sutton for a touchdown. You're sitting in your chair and you're going, you got off the field. Why are you giving him another chance? It's Russell Wilson. This guy's cooked you for years.
I don't think I'm saying that.
That was like a bad Jerry Seinfeld. Like if you're trying to do a Seinfeld but you're not good at it, that's what that sounded like.
I mean, at that point in time, I had no faith that anyone on Denver was going to pick up chunks of yards against this 49ers defense. That was how lethargic, sluggish, pathetic they were moving the ball. The boo birds were ringing down. There was no cohesion. There was no flow, anything.
Honestly,
you gave them an opportunity to
me, it's a bigger indictment of their offense and what Kyle Shanahan thinks of his team's ability to move the ball. Because it was like, hey, if they're only getting 3 out of this drive, we can take that. But if they score a touchdown, it might be over. That's the bigger takeaway for me than anything with the offense. Or maybe his philosophy is just like, yep, 4th down, we're off the field. Which in that spot, maybe not great.
Yeah, and 5-1-0 is coming. And stop with the 3 points out of the 9 that the defense gave up. Well, that's why I'm bringing up the 3 points, because nothing else happened. Like, those are 3 really important points, and you can point back to that position in the game. And if you tack on those 10 yards,
all right.
I don't know. We'll move on.
I'm going to rip through some calls here. Abdullah in South San Francisco, what's up?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I just wanted to say, outside the run of our starting running back having that 37-yard run, we averaged like 2 yards a carry. And, Debo having only a few yards, I feel that they needed to utilize Jordan Mason more. And, I mean, the Broncos, they ran the ball twice as much as us with their starting backs. They had 26 carries, and even if they struggled, having Debo just play receiver and fill in that area with our running backs would make a big difference. And one other thing I wanted to mention, I haven't heard it on here, is what was very predictable is on 1st down, they just ran the ball. They came out with a play action one time, and it went to Ucsf, and it perfected. I just feel like it was so predictable. Every time they came out, they ran the ball on 1st down and didn't give an opportunity to stretch the defense and put us in 3rd down situations, which we were 1 out of 10, and I think that's what cost us the game.
Yep, no doubt. Thanks, Abdullah. Yeah, 1 for 10 on 3rd downs with that one conversion coming late in the 4th quarter. That's not going to get it done very often. That's really tough. We're going to go rapid fire style through some of these calls. Williams in Napa, you're on overtime with Kyle and Chuck. Let it fly.
Hey, what's up, man? Hey, just 2 things real quick. How many quarterback powers did Kyle Shanahan run tonight?
That's a big 0, Williams.
Exactly. And if Trey would have played the same way Jimmy played tonight, what we would have heard, he's raw, he's not accurate, he's not ready. But when it's Jimmy playing the same old Jimmy way, oh, it's fine. The locker room's happy. He gives us a better chance to win.
Yep. I'm right there with you. And that's kind of the whole thing. Thanks for the call, Williams. Remember last year, going into the season, it was like, well, this is a team that can compete. and you don't want to start Trey Lance because rookie mistakes and da-da-da, and then Garoppolo on like the first play of the season fumbled a snap. And it was like, man, and that's the thing with Jimmy is like, yeah, is he terrible? No, but dude, he makes so many mistakes that a quarterback who's been in the league for almost a decade shouldn't be making. And that's why it's so aggravating. And it's aggravating because it's not like we can just chalk it up as like, oh, Jimmy's trash. Because he's not. But he's just prone to these really bad mistakes. And it came back and it bit the 49ers in an 11-10 game.
He's like 31 of 32 starting quarterbacks.
He's not 31.
What do you think he is? 28?
I've always said he's somewhere between like 17 and 24, and you can just order those however you want. Although that might be different now because a guy, there's like Daniel Jones might be 3-0 after tomorrow night.
I mean, Jimmy didn't have one game last year where he threw for 3 touchdown passes. And I know stats don't mean everything. They don't mean anything. But you're saying 17?
Yeah, maybe. I would have to go through it. Because that has
he's better than Joe Flacco. They're a handful.
That's changed
31's
a lot
not fair.
this year.
Fair enough.
Marcus Mariota better than him?
Let's go, Ducks.
Take Marcus.
I might. No, you know why? I'm not taking Marcus Mariota on the 49ers. Do you know why? Because he'd get hurt because he'd run 9 QB powers in his first game.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm not taking Marcus Mariota on this team. And I say Mariota like a real fan.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Let's go, Ducks. Joe in San Jose. Joe in San Jose, where do you rank Jimmy Garoppolo among the starting quarterbacks in the NFL?
Hello?
Yeah, what's up, Joe? You're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. I was just messing with you. Go ahead.
Oh, my God. Okay. First, I want to give a shout-out to the 49ers defense. Oh, man, that defense is Super Bowl bound, but
They're
the
incredible.
offense is just behind. My problem with the Niners offense is Kyle Shanahan did not. I'm sorry. Jimmy G didn't have a good preseason. He didn't have a preseason, so I expect him to come out a little, not sharp. I think the next game he's gonna come out sharper, and that's on Kyle Shanahan. And he's mismanaged the situation between Jimmy G and Trey Lance. So give him some time. He'll come around. I think they'll do good this year. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Joe. And that's the thing is like, I'm reacting to this game right now. Am I saying the 49ers are done? No. Am I saying start Brock Purdy? No. Because last freaking season, the 49ers lose that rain game to Indianapolis.
We were having the same talk.
Yes. They lose 30-18. They go to Chicago. They beat Chicago. They're back. And they are, what were they at that point? 3-4, and they beat Chicago. And then they come back and they lose to Colt McCoy. They get blown out by Colt McCoy and the Cardinals at Levi Stadium to fall to 3-5. And it was like, this season's over. Put in Trey Lance.
Get him his reps.
Why are you still starting Jimmy? This season's lost. And then they go and they beat the Rams and they beat Jacksonville and they beat Minnesota, lose to Russell Wilson. And then they beat Cincinnati on the road. And then they beat Atlanta. And all of a sudden, they're in the playoffs. So it's not pull the plug time, but it is, hey, let's recalibrate this whole like, hey, the Niners are way better with Jimmy Garoppolo quarterback when, sometimes, like definitely sometimes, but it's really clear like there's shortcomings, there's problems.
It's never going to be pull the plug time with this defense.
Correct.
Never.
Correct.
But where's the offensive explosion? Where's the creativity? It just seems so stale sometimes.
Yeah.
And it felt that way last year too. It was like, yeah, the Niners have in the preseason, you get so hyped. I'm going down to Santa Clara. We're doing all these stories. I'm looking at all the talent. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. They got 3 guys that can, give you 1,000 yards. And then here we are 3 games in and you just watch the offense and you're like, why isn't this offense good?
Yeah.
And part of it's
shocking.
Part of it's you no longer have Mac. Tomlinson's gone. Like there's new cast of characters on the offensive line. You win and lose games in the trenches. I'm a firm believer of that. And it's not as good as it was last year. And they're going to have to overcome that. But when it comes
especially with Trent Williams out.
But when it comes to the skill guys, I mean, Debo, if Ayuk's as good as we thought he was going to be coming into this year, and then you add Kittle into the mix, and I know that you no longer have Elijah Mitchell. That's a bigger loss than I think we're giving it credit for, but man, it's like, where is the firepower for this offense?
So
Seattle was able to do more against Denver than San Francisco.
That's one of the things when you say, where's the firepower? And you say the Elijah Mitchell injury is bigger than we thought. Well, it's like, no, but Kyle Shanahan, this offense is known for making running backs out of undrafted guys and late round guys. Elijah Mitchell, 6th round pick, figured it out. They used a 3rd round pick on Trey Sermon, who's not even on the roster this year, and they picked him last year. Like, that's
is he still in Philly?
Significant issue. I think he's still in Philly.
They may have cut him.
So that's that. I hesitate to say, like, oh yeah, the Elijah Mitchell injury matters, but this is supposed to be an offense that it's plug and play at running back.
Okay,
you can produce on the ground regardless of who's behind the quarterback.
So plug and play, Jeff Wilson tonight, 12 carries, 75 yards, has the 37-yard run. And you said, I mean, how many of those carries were in the first half? How many were in the second? You weren't playing catch up. You were up the entire game until the final 4 minutes. I just don't understand how Denver's going to rush it 33 times and you're going to rush it 19 with as efficient as you were. 4.5 yards per carry. Denver wasn't nearly as efficient rushing the football all night, and they still went to the ground because nothing was working through the air.
Right, they stuck
nothing
with
was
it.
working through the air for San Francisco. They had the lead, and they just got away from it. While you give me a spiel right here, I'm gonna go through the last 3, 4, 5 drives before they gave up that lead, and just see how many first downs they were passing, and I'm gonna crunch the numbers here. Poindexter's here.
You crunch those numbers.
Dmitry Petrovich.
Not a babe.
Pace.
And I'm gonna go to Jonathan in Richmond, who's been waiting patiently. Jonathan, you're on with Kyle and Chuck on Overtime.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great.
Hey, so Kyle, good coach, good everything. But how are we resigning players like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, but we don't use them in the clutch time?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
That's a great question, Jonathan. Thanks for the call. So I think that this is a problem with Kyle Shanahan and his adherence to this is how football should work. I think Kyle Shanahan views football as like a puzzle. And if this piece fits here, that means this piece fits here, and this piece fits here, and that's how it's all going to go. It's like he doesn't account for, hey, this team can't defend this guy, so we're just going to get him the ball. He looks at it as, okay, well, they're double covering that guy, which leaves Jawan Jennings open, so we're going to feed Jawan Jennings because they're going to leave him up. It forces the 49ers to start going away from their playmakers here and there. That's at least my deal. Maybe it's quarterback related. Maybe Shanahan is actually brilliant and he's drawing up all these open receivers. Haven't gotten a chance to grind the all 22 yet. We will though. But we saw it a couple times tonight. It got highlighted by Chris Collinsworth and Mike Tirico, who did a great job on the broadcast. Highlighted like, yeah, hey, open receiver here, open receiver there down the field. He missed him. We talked about the Deebo Samuel play where they connected for a long gain, but had Garoppolo led him even a little bit, it's an easy long touchdown. And that's the thing with Garoppolo is it's like those one or two couple little plays that could entirely swing the entire nature of his outing and the entire nature of his game. Let's finish up with Paul in San Jose. You're on Overtime with Kyle and Chuck. What's up, Paul?
Hey, if you guys look at the game scripts and our losses, especially big games like this, there's one common thing. Why do we abandon the run, especially with a subpar QB? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, especially with our DNA being a run-first team. We just leave it in the dust when we get down. And I don't trust a game in Jimmy G's arms. What do you guys think?
So I'm actually crunching the numbers right now, and I'm looking at 4 straight drives where every single time, I mean, the 49ers pretty much first down were running it every single time, as they should. Maybe hit them with a play action once per half.
First down passes are underrated.
Hit them with a play action once per half, but the first down rush is okay. And there were a few where they were set up 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, and every single time they passed it, and every single time it was either incomplete, or a sack. So in that situation, do you maybe try to bounce someone out to the outside, pick up a few yards, have 3rd and short instead of giving Jimmy the ball 2nd and 10? Hindsight's 20/20. but they at the very least, they were running it on first down all game. But there were a few times where it was 2nd and 10 where I would have said, run it again.
Well, yeah, and especially when your quarterback, when it comes to throwing, is limited like this. When your quarterback can throw it between the hash marks to Deebo Samuel. Like, we talked about that out route that he threw to Juwan Jennings, their only third down conversion. That should have been picked.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, the passing offense is so limited in scope with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. And this is the life the 49ers chose. It's probably better than it would have been with Brock Purdy under center. At least that's my thought. Maybe I'm wrong. I've not seen Brock Purdy play in a regular season game. But my thought right now is that Jimmy Garoppolo is significantly better than whatever Brock Purdy would put together.
Larry would disagree with you vehemently.
Well, of course he would.
He's a scout.
Nobody
Talking about tonight, former scout.
Nobody likes Brock Purdy more than Larry Krueger.
If he steps in there, if he steps in there someday and does something good, and Mr. Irrelevant turns out to be very relevant, then Larry Krueger may be back in the scouting game.
If Brock Purdy stepped in and was just slinging the pill, I'd be so angry. It would be the most annoying thing of all time. Because then it's Brock Purdy or Trey Lance. Just open up another can of worms on that quarterback conversation.
Yeah, it's a circus, man. It never ends, and now it's back. 49ers, even if they won this game 10-5 in that ugly score, 10-5, let's say it's final, I don't think we're having the same conversation right now. It's Jimmy's not good, but at least this defense is really good. We're good enough. But now it's panic mode because he had the opportunities, and again, couldn't get it done.
Right, and that's right, and that's what's interesting here is that's like still the case. Their defense has now given up 19, 0, and 9. Like, that's really good. That's really, really good. Because the Seahawks scored on the blocked.
Yeah, it's a top 3 defense in the NFL. I don't think it's outlandish to say the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, right now it sure seems like Denver's defense and Buffalo are both really good as well. But Super Bowl caliber defense for sure for the 49ers. I see Philmo Mike. I see Adrian on the line. We'll get to you on the other side. John Dickinson going to join us live from Denver at 10:45 as well. We'll get his thoughts on that debacle at Empower Stadium in Denver. I'm Kyle Madson. He's Chuck. This is Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Download the Odyssey app and stay connected with your favorite sports teams and hosts. Favorite 95.7 The Game to listen anytime, anywhere. Whether you're commuting to and from work or on a boat, chilling with Klay Thompson, entertaining sports talk and every single Warriors game at the tip of your fingers. Download the Odyssey app now and favorite 95.7 The Game. Sponsored by Comcast Business. Keeping businesses ready for what's next. Powering possibilities.
Hey, it's Joe Shasky, the butcher. Everybody's got their go-to meal at their favorite restaurant, so I think it's time we try another episode of The Go-To, presented by Trimark. Next up, it's 0-0 on Folsom Street. Come into the kitchen and let's oven roast a pizza with me on the latest episode. Check it out on 957thegame.com. The Go-To, presented by Trimark. Partnered with independent restaurateurs in Northern California for over 55 years. The go-to for food service, equipment, supplies, and design.
The theme of Hispanic Heritage Month for 2022 is Unidos. Inclusivity for a stronger nation. A chance for people to be proud and express Hispanic culture in their community. More on the Odyssey app. And celebrate the sounds and stories of Hispanic heritage at odyssey.com/HHM.
Golfers, now at the Golf Mart, it's time to hit faster, longer, and straighter with Titleist. The new TSR drivers are designed to maximize distance and elevate your performance. Titleist TSR driver, pushing for perfection every day. Come into the Golf Mart for the new Titleist TSR drivers and get custom fit for free today. Can't make it in store? Visit us online at worldwidegolfshops.com. The Golf Mart, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee and family owned and operated since 1984.
It's time to roll out the red carpet for, well, new carpet. Right now at the Home Depot. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors from top brands. Plus, get free installation. So whether you want to brighten up your bedroom, add a little more cushion to your living room, or, yes, add some VIP flair to your hallway, you can get the perfect carpet to match your mood with free installation from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
In 1848, James Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill, and in 3 years, a multicultural migration grew a sleepy trading post of 800 to a city of over 250,000. These were the first dreamers, innovators, builders, and inventors that defined San Francisco. The city's great history is kept alive by the San Francisco Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
Second and 10 from zone end zone. Garoppolo's out of the end zone. It's a safety. Remember, Dan Orlovsky did that. Stepped all the way out of the end zone. It's a safety, and that kills the play before everything else on the pick. So it is 7-5, and Trent Williams is shaken up for the Niners.
I don't know that I've ever seen a safety be a break for a team, but it certainly was there.
Now, back to overtime with Kyle Madson and Alan Stiles on 95.7 The Game.
Kyle Madson, Chuck Walter in for Allen. And we're just sifting through the wreckage of a bad 49ers loss in Denver. 11-10 the final. You heard that call there from Mike Tirico on NBC with Chris Collinsworth. It was Jimmy Garoppolo taking a safety. Kyle Shanahan actually took some blame for that, saying he put Garoppolo in a tough spot, trying to create a big play from the shadow of their own goalpost. It's like, all right. Shout out to the head coach for taking blame for something this week.
And trying to create a big play when there were none to be found. You know it's going to be a bad week when, or I guess you know it's a bad game when the Dan Orlovsky play is now coined the Jimmy Garoppolo play for the future. Although maybe Jimmy will get the pass and we'll still remember it down the road 10 years from now as the Dan Orlovsky play, just because he coined it originally.
Right.
But Jimmy may have stolen it tonight. Who knows? And then the pick six involved. Williams gets hurt on that same play. Just all around, that cannot happen. Was not good whatsoever. And then the other thing that proves that it was a bad night, I've seen Brock Purdy's name about 90 times on the Comcast business text line. And that's when you know that things are awry, when you're like, let's just run out there. You know, this guy seems athletic. He's shifty. Had a nice career at Iowa State as a big arm. Let's just let's throw Mr. Irrelevant out there. I know Mr. Irrelevant's never been good before, but let's throw him out there as our starting quarterback because Jimmy was that bad.
I question anybody who watched Brock Purdy this preseason and went, that's a big arm quarterback.
He does have some elusiveness.
He does. No, he can move a little bit for sure.
He's about my size.
I'm just not sure, dude. He's
not a big guy.
Not a big dude.
I don't know what he's listed at, but he can't be much bigger than 5'11".
I don't think Brock Purdy is probably not the answer. I've been wrong before though.
Kurt Benkert?
No, certainly not the answer. I would take Filmo Mike under center before I'd put Kurt Benkert there. Filmo, what's up, bro?
Hey, Madson, man. I know Kyle Shanahan bro, I know he's mad as hell. First of all, football is a team sport out of all the sports, but Jimmy G lost this game. Horrible passes, you stepping out of bounds, interceptions, and a fumble. Come on, dog. What Mark say? What Mark Willis say? You the producer. What are you doing?
All right, thanks, Filmo. And that's where it's tough because were there other plays of consequence in this game? Yeah, you talked about Shanahan's decision to let the Broncos kick a field goal instead of moving them back out of field goal range to try third down again. There were a couple of drops. There was the one drive that the defense wasn't super stout. The defense forced 10 punts, 8 3-and-outs. 9 3-and-outs. That's 8 more than the 49ers had. There were other little things that you can point to, but I think at the end of the day, it's like, man, if Jimmy Garoppolo, the quarterback, the most important position on the field, if he makes 1 or 2 more plays, maybe if Trent Williams doesn't get hurt, maybe then they win. But it was a bad night for the San Francisco 49ers all around.
All I know is unless it's a noon Indiana Northwestern game, 10 points probably isn't going to win you a football game.
No, No, probably not. I don't think it is.
Even Iowa got into the 20 points this weekend.
Yeah, Iowa, what they beat 27-10?
Oh, it was Rutgers. I don't know if that counts.
Iowa
they went
outscored
over.
the 49ers.
They went over on the over-under of the total for that game was 34.
Wow.
And they hit the over thanks to a late Rutgers field goal.
Disgusting football.
Yuck. It did feel, dude, that game did have Big Ten vibes, right? Niners Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Super Big Ten-ish. Adrian in Danville. What the heck happened in Denver tonight, Adrian?
Well, why did Shanahan not run the ball? I mean, this is when the Niners don't run the ball 30 times, they lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like everybody's blaming Jimmy G. Okay, I have wanted Jimmy G out also.
Sure.
But we have him, and Kyle knows what Jimmy G can do, what he can't do. Why is he having him throw out of the end zone? Come on.
Right.
Run the ball, get as many yards as you can, and then punt and live another day.
Yep.
You know, it's like, you know, I don't, you know, I mean, it's like Kyle, he goes like brain dead, you know, it just doesn't, I don't understand. You know, and what else are you going to do? Are you going to bring in Purdy? I mean,
yeah, there's not an answer under center right now.
And you know, I you know, also the running back fumbled. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you lost this game. It wasn't just Jimmy G. And you know, I'm not, like I said, I wanted him gone also.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have given up 3 number ones for Trey, because we don't even know what we have in Trey. Tell you the truth. We don't.
Yeah, but Trey Lance is hurt, so
I know he's hurt, but I'm just saying is like we haven't seen him.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right. Thanks, Adrian. So the Niners in the second half on their first drive ran it on first down. There was a penalty. They gave them a first down. On the next first down, they went pass incomplete. Then Jordan Mason ran it for 7 yards. Garoppolo fumbles. That's how their first drive went. Their second drive went run on first down, no gain. That was from the 2, and then the safety happened. So you see the pattern here. When they tried to run, it wasn't working. Then they go Jeff Wilson for 18 yards on a first down on the next drive. And then on the ensuing first down, no gain. Then Garoppolo sacked, and then incomplete. Like, they put the run away because it wasn't working, because the opposing defense is not threatened by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a passing league right now, and there's just no passing attack. It's as simple as that. There's
at least not a consistent one, and not one that threatens defenses down the field and outside the numbers.
Fair enough.
Like when,
consistent being the thing that really stuck out, because here's the thing. We could sit here all day and talk about how bad Jimmy was down the stretch. First half, Jimmy through 2.5 quarters, he was fine. He was Jimmy. Mm-hmm. If you get that Jimmy all the time, you feel all right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the final quarter, and especially that final drive where you know the situation. It's first down. You're at midfield. All you need is 3 timeouts, 2-minute warning, time's on your side, and you're flinging it into double coverage over the middle of the field. It's just, it's inexcusable. It's a rookie mistake from a guy that's 30 years old.
Shouldn't be making rookie mistakes, yeah. 7 of 12 for 76 yards and an interception in the second half.
Say that again?
7 of 12 for 76 yards and a pick in the second half.
Well, at least he had a good completion percentage.
7 of 12?
It's all right.
Is it?
It's all right.
Is it? I'm not 100% sure it is.
It's the only good I can find from that.
John Dickinson coming up at 10:45. He was at the game. I'm super interested to see because when you're at the game and you're in their press box, you get that all 22 view.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, was that one play that Garoppolo missed Debo? Was that the one play where there was a guy running open that he missed? Or did that happen a lot? I'm really interested to find out his perspective on that, because I think that's going to tell a lot of the story, especially since so much of this week was oh, let Jimmy cook. Maybe, oh, Jimmy said he wants it to be like 2017 again, where he just got to run around and fling it and let it rip, let it fly. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm not in the quarterback's room. Maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the goal, and Garoppolo is just not throwing it. Maybe it's just he's the problem, not the play call. John Dickinson is with us. He's in Denver. And JD, thanks for jumping on at this late hour. Chuck and I appreciate it a lot. I'll just ask you this first. Did you feel like there were opportunities for Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the ball downfield tonight that he just missed? Or is it just something the 49ers aren't calling?
Well, there were two chances. There were two balls to Debo. There was the one that made all the waves on social media where Debo was running free and he didn't throw it to him. There was the other one where he did throw it to him right after that.
Yeah.
And he threw it to him, and it was a nice gain, but it could have been a touchdown or at least a huge gain,
right?
That would have put you in scoring range. So those were the two that were the most noticeable to me, and those were the ones that were the most noticeable to everybody. I mean, look, as far as I heard you guys talking here for the last couple of minutes, the let Jimmy cook stuff was just silliness. Like, that was just ridiculous. And,
right.
and I don't know whether that was Jimmy taking some shots in a little bit of DGAF mode because of the circumstances that have led to him being the starting quarterback now and around for the remainder of this season, and just kind of letting loose of some things that have been beneath the surface here for the last couple of years, because he knows, hey, they got to play me now, and sure, I'd love to sling it, because if I do well with it, that's probably going to win games, because the 49ers are pretty good in other areas, and it's going to pad his numbers to the point where maybe he does get the offers that nobody would really initially think would be coming for him, and at the level that he's played to this point, or at least with the numbers that he's put up to this point, once you cast aside the wins. So that was silliness, and I think that's why Kyle Shanahan was so annoyed by it on Friday, was just the notion of, look, I'm going to give him opportunities to throw. I still want to run the football, and I'm probably going to play it conservatively at times, and I'm probably going to open it up at times. I mean, I thought tonight there were times where, in the first half especially, where they were throwing to set up the run a little bit. They were in, rhythm became the big part of the second half. They were running it okay at times, and then it all just kind of stalled out in the second half, and then there was more pressure, obviously, on Garoppolo in the second half. And I think, to tie it back to just the game overall, George Kittle said it best, and you guys have talked about this. The 3 turnovers, which 2 of them were on Jimmy, and then the safety, which was on Jimmy, although Kyle Shanahan tried to take the blame for the play call there. And I got the sense that Garoppolo didn't love the play call there either, given his answer in the post-game press conference. And then you go 1 for 10 on third down. Like that's just it's bad offense, and you're destined to lose the game despite your defense being excellent, minus the one possession where Russell Wilson was Russell Wilson.
Hey, JD, Chuck here. So 49ers were moving at rushing for the majority of, I would say, definitely the first half, and even a little to start the second half. They just abandoned it. They were going to the run game on first down throughout the entire second half, but 2nd and 10, 2nd and 8 would creep up, and they just would not go with the run game, and instead it was incomplete pass after incomplete pass. Why is that? On 2nd down and 8, when you have the lead, trying to burn a little clock, gain some yardage, and really establish time of possession, why are you going with these passes on 2nd and 10 when they're just not working?
Yeah, I mean, I think because you're getting 2 yards on first down, and I think there's already a sense that maybe you're getting a little bit predictable. Like, you don't want to be the quintessential run pass, run the first 2 and then really let them pin back and come after you on the third down. So I think Kyle Shanahan believes that there's enough short passes, easily makeable throws in his offense to where you should be able to complete a couple of those at a higher percentage than he did. I thought the Broncos ramped up the defense. I thought the protection wasn't as great necessarily in the second half. No excuses for Garoppolo. I mean, he was awful. I mean, he was, and I think this is actually the second straight week, guys, where he was really good at the beginning of the game, but as the game went on, like, he wasn't great as the game went on last week either. Yep. Like, they were in control of the game enough to where it was fine and the defense dominant and all of that, but there's something to he kind of comes out and he's in a rhythm, and then things get out of whack as the game goes on. And I think that's something they're going to have to work through. I didn't love, and I don't know if you guys talked about this. I'm sure you have. You've been on for hours, but I didn't love his answer in the post game about needing to get into a rhythm again with the starters. Like, I felt like that was a little bit of an excuse, sure, but it's just kind of a bad look when you spend the whole week last week saying what you mentioned right off the top, Kyle. You know, he wants to cook and open it up a little bit. Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't say you want to cook and have it both and then also say, well, you know, I haven't been getting. You got more time with him this week than you got last week. So,
well, and last week he said it was like riding a bike.
Yeah.
So what is it, man?
Like that was. And then he goes on. He's like, I don't want to make excuses about it. Well, you're making a major excuse about it, and kind of a shabby one, like kind of an obvious lower level kind of excuse. Like, it can't be gravy when everything's going well, and then all of a sudden it's everything else when things aren't going well. And I did get the sense that there was a little bit of the blame shifting going on, to be honest, which is, you know, we all know Garoppolo's going to be the quarterback here moving forward as long as he's healthy, but you know, that and the teammates love him and all of that, but it just wasn't the best look, I thought, post-game for a guy that usually is pretty good at being fake stand-up. Like, he's usually pretty good at giving you the 15 seconds of what it should sound like, and he didn't really do that tonight.
Well, and this is something that Chuck and I have talked quite a bit about as we talked to John Dickinson live from Denver, where he attended the 49ers 11-10 loss to the Broncos. The thing for me is we've talked about this, is like, the issue is not like, wow, Jimmy was bad tonight. It's like, no, he just kind of looked like Jimmy. And that's where it's like, I don't know what the solution is here. Like, this is just what they made their bed, right?
Yeah, no, they did. And look, it's the other part of this too is it's not like they benched Trey Lance and went to Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, he got hurt. Like, Trey Lance would have been the starting quarterback tonight if he was healthy. I mean, and we'll see. And look, I hate getting into this, and I made the mistake of doing it in the after the Chicago game. I did say, hey, you know, that's the kind of game where they typically win, and I wasn't putting it on Trey Lance that they lost the game by any stretch, but that's the kind of game that they would win with Garoppolo. I don't want to get into the week to week of what it would have looked like. You know, but at the same time, it's, you know, could Trey Lance have played at the level that Garoppolo did tonight? I mean, I know a lot of people out there are saying yes, and I think, you know, how bad he was in the second half certainly stands out. But I also think you have to be open to the fact, and this is not shade at Trey, but it might have been worse if you had a quarterback with his experience level in this environment. Like, that was the thing all week that I kept coming back to, and I was on with Whitey yesterday, and we spent 4 hours kind of, you know, I thought this game was a 50-50 game at best. I thought people were way too high on the Niners going into this game and way too low on the Broncos. Now, look, the game was ugly as sin, and neither team really played well at all offensively. But, like, this is the kind of game where, like, this is a top 5 crowd, I think, in the NFL, and I know AFC West team or NFC West teams don't play AFC West teams. You know, it's every 8 years, right? When you're coming to this building,
right?
But I like, to me, it's just like this was not a gimme by any stretch, and frankly, this was a game. Schedule comes out in May. I had bookmarked as a loss for the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that Chuck, you brought that up earlier. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, losing to the Broncos, but that was to a version of the Broncos that we thought was going to be really good, right? Like, losing to what the Broncos have been through the first 3 weeks is bad.
They've been booed on their home field 2 weeks
in a row.
They got booed tonight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're winning games and getting booed. That's now 2 straight wins where they've been booed off the field.
Yeah, you're right. And yes, I think we all thought it was going to look better really than it has for both of those teams. And I know the Bears won again today against Houston, so maybe the Bears are better than we thought they were. But at this point, do we where you'd feel better if you were a Niner fan is if Trey Lance goes out there and plays the game Garoppolo did tonight, and even if you lose it, it's at least development, right? Like, I think that's the part that's the most frustrating part in some of these losses for the Niners if they start to pile up, or if this team doesn't become what they intended to be this season. It's the fact that even a bad Trey Lance is still a Trey Lance that's a young quarterback getting better and developing and growing into the franchise quarterback of the future. So when we start making playing the game of, well, what would his line have looked like and what would this line have looked like, and you would have won this game or you would have, I don't know if they would have won tonight if Trey Lance had been the starting quarterback, but win or lose how well he played, you were going to get some kind of benefit. Tonight feels like just a missed opportunity. And to your point, it's like, well, where do you go from here? Well, where you go from here is it's not the first time that the Niners have had an ugly loss with Jimmy Garoppolo also. Like, we talk about his record and all that, but it's not like he never loses. It's not like he never plays
feeds
poorly.
off adversity. Feeds off the adversity.
Well, and look, this game was set up for him to go down and win it with a field goal, which we've seen him do a lot at the end. And then, Chuck, you mentioned it. I mean, he's thrown into double coverage.
What was that?
Over the middle of the field. I mean, it was just a force. I mean, it was just a bad
on first down.
It's just a bad shot. It was just. I mean, it's the equivalent of, you're coming down with 20 seconds to go in the game, and you're down one. You just cast off from 35 feet. And it's just. I mean, it was just terrible.
And that's the interesting thing here is we sit here and we talk, and people have been all over the Comcast Business text line and the YouTube comments and in the Twitch comments saying Brock Purdy. But there's a real chance, JD, as we sit here and wonder what's next for the 49ers. Well, they get the Rams on Monday Night Football, a team that they've had their number. And then they go to Carolina, and then they go to Atlanta in back-to-back weeks. There's a very real scenario where the 49ers go into Week 7 against Kansas City sitting at 4-2.
Very much possible.
And the conversation's very different at that point.
No, it is. And the worst case scenario, and the irony is, Monday Night Football last year, they were 3-5. They had the ugly loss to the Cardinals the week before to Colt McCoy. And it was Monday night, and it was the middle of the year. And it was basically the game where Kyle Shanahan said later that if we lose that game, I'm going to Trey, and we're going full developmental mode, and we're not going to even worry about making the playoffs at that point. If we do, we do. Whatever. If we don't, we don't. It's about development, and Jimmy's going to sit, and it's Trey's team. They won that game, and then they won the next week at Jacksonville, and then they won enough at that point for Jimmy to keep the job and for them to ultimately make the playoffs. So, I think even if next week is a loss, you're looking at obviously an emergency situation at Carolina and Atlanta, but still two extremely winnable games. Probably the much more winnable games, those two games, than tonight or even next week.
Yeah.
So tell me this, JD. I think Madson. What was the final number of batted balls?
There's six passes got defense.
So Jimmy Garoppolo had 6 of his balls batted at some point today of his 29. So that's about a fifth of his passes were batted. When you have guys like Ayuk and Kittle and Deebo Samuel, and you have weapons on offense and a quarterback that's supposed to be middle of the pack, like Kyle just said, he's anywhere between 17th to 22nd in the NFL. What is it about this offense to where they can't just get the short game going and figure out a way to use their weapons to their advantage? And instead, you watch a 49ers game sometimes, and it makes it seem like they don't have weapons when they do.
Yeah, it just and I think they just haven't been able to cash in for points. Like, that's the story of this game is, like, I mean, they were moving it, and Garoppolo's completed 6 consecutive passes, and then you look up and it's 7-3 at halftime, and you're thinking, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? Like, why are they not up by more? It's just too many drives that are stalled out by penalties. It's a drop here, it's a turnover there, it's a sack here, it's a ball getting batted down. It's they just have not made the most in the 2 losses of the big plays that they have made. They've made some big plays, but the big plays haven't gone necessarily for touchdowns, and then they haven't been able to cash it in on top of that. I still think it comes back to all of the things Kyle Shanahan always wants to do. Wants to run the football. He like play action. I mean, Jimmy did have some throws over the middle in the first half that we all talked about, that he looked pretty good. So it's get back to that stuff, and pass to set up the run to set up the pass, get the offense in. I don't want to use Jimmy's term, but get the offense in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Get it in more of it. Get it in. Get Kyle Shanahan in his bag, like they always say, where he's just got the defense stymied. The Broncos have a good defense too, by the way. Like that's the one thing I will say, and I know we're up against it. The Broncos have a good defense, and I keep coming back to. I mean, the press box at times tonight was shaking.
Wow.
Because of people stomping their feet and the crowd noise and everything. Like again, I think Niners fans don't fully understand it because you just don't come here often, once every 8 years. Like this is a low-key Seattle kind of a vibe. Like it's Seattle, it's New Orleans, it's Kansas City, and Denver, I feel like are in the top 5 in terms of environment. Like it's like good defense, a lot of crowd noise, and just chaos that I think did impact things at times in a negative light. Not an excuse, but part of the story that I think goes a little untold at times.
JD, appreciate the time, man. Great stuff.
All right,
man.
you got it, fellas.
Yep, we'll see ya. All right, that was John Dickinson. For Mark Grandy, for Chuck Walter, I'm Kyle Madson. This has been Overtime. You guys were electric tonight on the calls. Joe Spadoni with the pregame show starting at 5 a.m. tomorrow, followed by the morning roast at 6 o'clock.